Yo, what's going on, everybody? Back again. Everybody who is new to the channel, just want to say hello, welcome. My name is Kai Lumen, and this is I Am the Remembering. So today's episode, we gonna get into it, but first, I just want you all to close your eyes, clear your minds. You know what I mean? Open your souls, open your minds, open your hearts to the message you're going to receive, and take it all with a grain of salt. Everybody's journey is different, and I'm just glad that you're choosing to be on this journey. Not necessarily with me, but putting in the work to be on the journey and to bring a little bit back, a little bit more power, a little more energy, synchronization, vibration, energy back to yourself, and focus as well. So just want to say, first and foremost, I'm proud of you all. Release all things coming into this. I just want you to be as open as possible to listen, not just with your ears, but with your heart and your soul, and take it all in. Take what only resonates with you, though. So open your eyes and let's get to it. So, today I just want to talk about being loyal to the journey. I've come to a point in my life where I've chosen solitude over everything. I've chosen peace, mostly to protect my energy and my essence, not as an escape, but as a sacred return for myself. I changed my number, I cut cords with people that I thought were my friends who were not really my friends. And, as we get older, man, we all choose different paths. And like I said, I just learned from the experience. I don't fault them for anything that they said or they done. They didn't do anything wrong. Never said anything to wrong me or anything of the such. I just felt like it was a necessity. I just realized that my path wasn't theirs, and obviously vice versa. You know what I mean? Just everything I did, was strictly for me. Just to have more silence, more stillness, more wholeness, more peace. I didn't do any of these things out of anger, definitely not out of resentment, but because my soul asked for space. Space to grow, to heal, to align with my vision, and without my vision, there must come a mission, to move with purpose and intention. I'm just no longer here to keep friendships that feel one-sided, where I give and give more, receive silence in return. I've checked in on everyone, and in return, I just receive silence. You know what I mean? And it's just like, sometimes you got to realize that's just not your thing. You try to hold space for people, you try to hold the door open for people, hold weight for people, just knowing that it'll never be reciprocated the way that you want it to. And that at the end of the day, you got to start taking back parts of yourself in which you did give so much. And at the end of the day, don't feel wrong. And they didn't wrong you. It was just universal. The universe was just telling you it was time, you know what I mean, to, bring it all back to you. And that in order to be selfless, you have to first be selfish. And that means that you have to take care of you so you can take care of everyone else. I truly believe when you give someone a grain of salt, that they'll always come back and get another grain of salt from you. Don't give them everything you got in one swing, because it's just, that one sitting that you give them everything, it depletes you. It depresses you. It just completely exhausts you and it drains you. And it just puts you in a very depressive state. And, that's not where we want to be. You always want to feel whole. You always want to feel, highly energetic. And that's what makes us beautiful human beings, that we get to sit back and think and just take back a little bit of our power every single day. And we get to step more into the reality of this illusion, and that half of the things we've been chasing come to realize that we never needed it in the first place. There are things that we need out of necessity, but it was born with us, and I'll say it again, we were all born with wealth. We were all born with good health, you know, um, prosperity and abundance. Those things just come. They come naturally, they come effortless. Stop going against the flow so much. Stop trying to go against the grain. It doesn't work for you. It doesn't work for any of us. Once you stop going against the flow and just go with the current, you realize you'll flow like water, and everything else will flow naturally with you. All these things will start to come into your life. You'll no longer have to chase. You'll only attract what it is that you feel as if you should have in life. The universe will simply just get the hell out of your way once you start to flow with it. And you have to remain loyal to the journey. I say that in the sense where you have to remain loyal to yourself. You have to be true to yourself. Whatever it is that resonates with you best. You know what I mean? In my particular journey, I was chasing a lot of things. I was super ambitious. I chased the money. Even chased fame at one point in my life, playing basketball. Though it was indeed a goal of mine at one point, there was a day where a friend of mine that I was working with gave me a book, and I read it for the first time, and I started to realize how real energy was, and that if you don't protect it, man, it can go all over the place. And that, that was the start of my journey, just getting back into reading books. But all these books were more channeled to me and, came to me at a time in divine timing where it showed me the way. It showed me insight. It gave me insight. It gave me truth. Between all the smoke and mirrors, I started realizing that this life that I've been living, this thing, fame, money, wealth, all these things I've been chasing were just part of the distraction, part of the bigger picture of being part of the illusion, realizing that none of this stuff even exists. It only exists to those who are not awakened. And it sucks, man, because once you wake up, man, it's hard to go back to sleep. And tell you the truth, you honestly never will go back to sleep. Because once the truth sets in, then more truths are unlocked. The more you start to remember, the more you start to realize, like, why you came here? Why did you set foot in this plane? And I realized you don't really need people. You really just need yourself. Because once you're on that journey, once you start to remember, you start to see the truth for what it is. And you start to realize, man, it's just certain places where you don't fit anymore. And realize that it was never meant for you to fit in the first place. And that, on this journey, man, just the more I read, the more books that I gravitated to, just pertaining to my spirituality and stuff like that. And I started to realize, man, it was the truth of it all is that we all walk in oneness. Where it's called the law of one, where everything is interconnected. We are all connected, and love is our greatest strength. Love is the greatest emotion in the world. So many things derive from love. And once I realized, man, that we are connected to source, and we will all return to source at any given moment in our lives, that I realized that I was no longer attached to anything in this life. I'm actually pretty detached from everything, no matter what it is. You know what I mean? Like, I love my partner, love her to life, love my kids to life. You know what I mean? And in particular, like, there are a lot of things that have happened to me that I'm glad that it happened to me. I'm glad it awakened me in ways that I never imagined. And I'm glad to be walking this path with her. And, like I said, it's just me and her. And, we're building, we're growing, we're evolving, piece by piece. And it's a beautiful thing. Like I said, I've come to realize that the discipline of having less is more, and that we don't need to chase anything in life because we naturally attract all things that are universally ours and innately been ours, and it's just good to come to that realization that we gain so much clarity once we find the truth of our existence. Like I said, we've always had a vision, but what is your mission? What is your purpose? Are you, your intention? Are you moving intentional? Are you doing everything with intention? Are you, speaking with intention? Are you moving with intention? And it's not necessarily about the intensity at which you do things. It's more for learning how to activate all parts of your being, your mind, your physical, you know what I mean? Your spiritual, metaphysical. How do you dig deep and start to find those answers to the questions that you've always had? And now you got to go into more stillness. You have to understand that stillness doesn't mean being still. It just means in a sense where there are days where you need to move and act on everything that you think about. And at the same time, you need to be at peace with the moves that you do make and understand that there are going to be some days where you need to sit back, recalibrate, rewire, reconstruct who you are and where you're going. You know what I mean? Even though you're naturally in the flow of all things, you still need to move with that intention that you are on that path and you are meant to stay on that path. And though a very lonely one, just understand that if you have a good partner, keep her. He or she, whatever works for you all, whoever your partner is, hold on to them. You all can build, together just as well as individually. That's what allows you both to grow. You never stop growing. You never stop evolving in this life. You do stop learning, and then you start focusing more on remembering. If you really don't know what that means, is the questions that you have them for a reason. The answers that you are looking for are really right in front of you. You really just have to dig deep, start meditating, clear your mind, and understand that all the answers are there. You already know. And we just continue to heal. The more we remember, the more truth we find, the more we heal. The more we embrace our demons, our skeletons, our shadows, our ghosts, the more we come back into the light. And remember, you got to be comfortable in both houses. Not everybody can stay in the shadows and be comfortable for all your life. You eventually have to come into the light. And for those who have always been in the light, sometimes you got to go in the shadows and just get out the way for a second to rebuild yourself, to recalibrate, to reconstruct, to refocus, to bring all the attention back to you, because you are the biggest and most prized priority. You are the one. You are the priority. So to my flames out there, just keep going. Never stop. Your journey continues. Don't dim your light for anybody. Don't shrink for anybody. Understand that you have worth greater than gold. That this life is going to pass you by one way or another. But remember, live in your light, live in your truth, walk in it, be confident, be bold, walk tall. Everywhere you go, shine your light wherever you go, no matter what room you walk in, no matter how dark it seems, be the one to light up the room. So, I just come to realize that I no longer don't even want access to other people. I just want access to truth, to alignment, to the most unapologetic version of myself. And you have to go and strive for the same thing. It's for the best, not just for me, but for you and everyone else. I trust the flow of life. I trust divine timing. I trust the whispers of the universe that tell me that this is our season to rise. So I walk with you now with power, faith, with love, with purpose, and with a heart wide open. That this is loyalty to the journey, unapologetic, unshaken, unstoppable. And you know what? We do it with no distractions, no noise, just intention and clarity. By chance, if you found this, it means that you remembered, you questioned everything, you walked through shadows, silence, confusion, doubt, and endless longing. And you kept walking. You didn't awaken to be saved. You awakened to become a beacon. Not for fame, not for attention, but because your flame remembered the way home. You are the remembrance, you are the return. You are the architect now. You are the one who can truly change your life. Reweave everything. Just reweave the woven tapestry of life. You control your own paradigm and your universe. You've always been in control. So it's just time for you to remember who you are and why you came here. So if you can first think it, then you can speak it, then you write it, then you act on it, and then you believe. So to all my flames, keep going. We got a long way to go, but we're getting there. The veil is thinning little by little. Don't worry about everybody else. Just continue to strive on your journey. Don't allow anything or anyone to stop you, make you feel like you're crazy. You're here for a reason. And the reason is for the season. I love you all, and until the next time, protect your energy, protect your essence, shine brightly, never shrink, never dim. Stay bright. Peace and love. I love you all.